Welcome to the Crunch McDowell Show. I'm your host, the great voice of Galarian, crying out in the wilderness, the preacher of Paizo himself, Crunch McDowells. This is the only show where we break down the Pathfinder 2nd edition rules. Today's show, exploring Mwangi. So you have your adventuring party together and you want to explore Mwangi. You've got your 10-foot poles, you've got your iron rations, but how do you get there? Don't worry, little elf lady, Crunch McDowells has you covered. There are really 3 directions you could approach the Expanse, from the east, from the north, or from the west, and each has its own advantages and disadvantages and challenges. Now, from the east, this would involve a boat trip to Katapesh or Nex. Now, both of these are fine destinations. Well, Nex, that one's a little odd, but not too bad. And you have a pretty long journey after this, though, through the desert, which is infested with Knoll slavers and who knows what else, and all this is to arrive at a bank of mountains that now separates you from the Mwangi Expanse. However, there is a little pass through here. It's called the Nadel Gap. Now, it's described as a cold, high-altitude journey, but it's still better than either the Barrier Wall Mountains to the north, or worse, the Shattered Range to the south. The best part about the Nadel Gap is it leads you right to the Badange River, which is a good natural landmark to orient yourself in the jungle. And even better, the Badange River leads you right to the White City.
I've seen the White City.
Not that White City, Aragorn. Nagisa, the White City. Do you like fighting demons? I do. Then Nagisa is going to be one of your adventure vacation destinations. It's, well, the whole thing's complicated. It's an ancient city of somewhat unknown origins, filled with these white pyramids. And each pyramid inside it has a totem to a demon. And this totem, it attracts demons and evil things to it. Now, most of this hasn't been cleared out yet. Nevertheless, Alahe elves, even though all that's going on, they consider this city home. And they live there in a constant effort to fight back the demons, while at the same time keeping boggards and other outsiders out. So you see, it's complicated. But what isn't complicated is this. These pyramids have to be full of rare and unusual treasure, and an adventure into just one of these pyramids would be incredible. And it's a whole city full of them. This place it's amazing. You could make a campaign from level 1 to 20 just in this city all by itself. You could run the Tomb of Horrors in this one, with some modifications, or make your own version of that. But it's exactly what these pyramids are, full of traps, full of treasures, full of crazy things. But if you are looking for a safer destination after your journey coming in from the east to refuel and set up a base of operations, Kipway might be a better place for you. Kipway is the City of Watchers, an ancient city of immense walls and strange statues. It is described as a Byzantine market in the jungle, full of markets and traders. This would be a relatively safe place to seek refuge, as well as a great place to stock up on goods, perhaps find some magic items in the markets, or who knows what else you might find in Kipway. If you decided to travel to the Mwangi from the north, that actually might not be a bad way to go. This would involve a trip to Thuvia or Osirian or even Rahadum, and all of those, they're not horrible places. That's not bad. Then there would be a trip through the desert heading south, and of course, that could be challenging. You might find your party running from a div or some other horrible desert encounter. But hey, you were after adventure, so maybe you found it here. And sometimes you got to run away too, and there's no shame in that. Either way, after the desert, then you run into this formidable mountain range, the Barrier Wall. Now, this seems like it would be a bad idea after all. This is a near impossible labyrinth of treacherous mountain passes filled with enormous predators. However, there are these stone-warden druids who will reluctantly guide travelers through the mountains. So you got that part. That's good. The bad part is, look at this. Once you get to the other side of the Barrier Wall, and you enter into the Mwangi Expanse, do you notice anything about this region? That's right, there's nothing there. It's just you and the jungle, full of man-eating plants and crocodile people called Bolokos. and who knows what else. Now, these little Bolokos, they are great monsters. They're size small. They're fey crocodile people who love to hunt humanoids. So you could have a fun time terrifying your party with these little guys. That would make for some great encounters, in addition to everything else that's terrifying in the jungle there. Man-eating plants, stuff like that. Making this journey from the north is even more challenging if you were to blindly keep following the various rivers here south. You're thinking they're going to lead you to civilization. They would, in fact, lead you to Lake Akota, which is where, well, that's where the giant crocodiles live. And by giant, that's really an understatement. They're really, really giant crocodile monsters. So be careful on that. However, from the north, there is this city of Jaha over here. If you had knowledge of it, that would be a good destination for you. It's fairly safe. It has some interesting people. It's an interesting city. The people love astrology. The city itself is built on the ruins of 2 previous people who lived there and deserted it, and it has a limitless amount of tunnels underneath to explore and secrets to discover. Coming to the Expanse from the west might be the most direct because it borders the ocean. So Sangor here, it might be the safest city to sail to on the west coast and the most hospitable. However, once you arrive in Sangor, you're boxed in here by the Kava lands. So getting out of Sangor is probably going to require another boat trip. Although the temptation to travel into the Kava lands, it's certainly great because there's supposed to be vast amounts of free captain treasure hidden in there. The problem is it's an inhospitable rainforest full of deadly hippopotamuses and constrictors and all kinds of deadly things that are perfectly camouflaged in their environment. So it's beautiful, but it's deadly. And that isn't even to mention the territorial kava that are there. That's a whole nother problem. They look cute, but they're extremely territorial, and there are bunches of them. Blood Cove is another alternative port city. Not as safe as Sangor. It's a city full of pirates, and it's certainly a city with questionable politics. So getting around in and getting out of the city is certainly going to have its challenges, but it's nothing an adventuring party couldn't handle. The thing about Blood Cove, look at this. If you head this way, out of Blood Cove, straight up the Vanjie River, you guessed it, Nantambu, you run right into it. So 2 boat rides, and you could be right here, right in the heart of the Mwangi. Now, Nantambu, this might be the most horrifying place in all of Galarian. Personally, I would skip it. Maybe a quick visit to resupply and see the sights there. But really, it's a utopian powerhouse of learning with an uncomfortable reliance on arcane magic and science. That is a recipe for disaster, and I would get out of there as fast as I could. Just a word to the wise. But there are some interesting sights here, and certainly it's probably one of the safest cities in all of Galarian. But that is until it all comes crashing down, of course. And you know, this kind of thing always happens in places like this. That's why I'd say just be careful of this place. Enjoy it while it lasts, Nantambu. Vidrion to the south, that might not be a bad port of entry. This area recently won its independence from Cheliax, so they're pretty wary of outsiders, and for good reason. The people in Vidrion are friendly though, and the cities are safe, and they have even accepted the idea of helping foreign treasure hunters. So the party could get some valuable information, guidance, or help here. Vidrion is interesting though, and it's full of places for adventure too. You have access to the Screaming Jungle, which is so terrifying. It just sounds fantastic. It's surreal there. It's beautiful and eerie, all at the same time. I think ruins haunted by spirits or ravenous undead, this jungle would make a great backdrop for that kind of adventure. Also, the Bandu Hills. It's a difficult, foggy area teeming with ruins, with the promise of riches, and the undead are there for sure. This is where the ruined city of Arzakal is, also known as the City of Hungry Spires, which is a fantastic name. The name alone makes me want to go there. Just don't spend the night there. That's a bad idea, lest you be added to the spires. And finally, the northernmost points from the west. If you're able to navigate past the Eye of Abendago, Or if you get shipwrecked there because of the Eye of Abendago, you run into the Sodden Lands. So get ready for some boggards and uruxi and crocodiles and anything else that hangs out in marshes. That's going to be fair game here. If you love cults and fighting cultists, how about a cult of boggards who worship Rovagug? Doesn't that sound amazing? Also, this area is perfect for a Jaws monster hunting adventure if the locals want you to track and kill a fiendish muck bunyip that's been terrorizing the locals. The muck bunyip is a great elusive monster as it is, so throw some fiendish traits on one and you have yourself a great adventure. In between the Sodden Lands and Lake Akota, that's where the Matangi orcs are, and that could always be an interesting place to visit. The city of Matakali, with its layers of cities around it for defensive purposes, it just seems like a great place to visit. Plus, these orcs are really interesting. You could probably learn a lot about demon hunting from them, so this might be a terrific pilgrimage destination or a fact-finding mission for a demon hunting paladin in your party. So those are the ways to get into Mwangi. But the whole reason you go to Mwangi in the first place is all this good stuff in the middle. In the middle of the Mwangi, nestled on the beautiful banks of Lake Akota, the city of Usaro. Usaro might be the best example of pure chaos anywhere in Galarian. It is a city of worshippers of the demon god Angazan. Yes, Angazan rules over the abyssal realm of Avith Kor, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is the city of Usaro. It's pure insanity. It's the epitome of chaos. The only order here is power, and no one is ever truly safe. The city is teeming with Charo Ka, ferocious ape creatures dedicated to the demon god Angazan. Sacrifices, kidnappings, power struggles, they're all happening constantly. It's completely awesome. I want to go there. And the thing about Usaro, it's so much chaos that you could walk right into that city. There's no law. There's no gate warden standing there saying, "State your business, travelers." Nothing like that. You just walk right in. Of course, you run the risk of getting kidnapped or sacrificed to a demon god in the first 5 minutes that you're there. So there's always that too. I think an adventure that sends you to Usaro on some sort of diplomatic mission, that would be really fun, really interesting. And there are a couple of other notable points inside the heart of the Mwangi Jungle. Holy Xatramba. It used to be the biggest city in the Expanse, and now it's ruins. And ruins inhabited by demons, so more demons. I love that. All over here, there's nothing but demons in here. Also, over here is Savanthi. It's an ancient entrance to the realms of the serpent folk. Now it's just ruins, but the ruins are being explored by groups of academics and treasure hunters since it was recently discovered. So you would have some company if you were there adventuring, which wouldn't be bad, but there are certainly some great adventures in here among those ruins in the jungle. And that is the Mwangi Expanse. This book was everything I was hoping it would be and more. I wanted interesting people and places. I wanted ruins and history. I wanted great monsters and adventures. And this book is page after page of that stuff and more. I didn't realize how many demons there are in the Expanse. That was a really pleasant surprise. The jungle's just crawling with them. It's fantastic. This book even has recipes in it, which is actually a really nice touch. I hope they keep doing that. I like that. If you like food like I do, fun little recipe for some barbecue, that was fun. You get some new ancestries and some new takes on some existing ancestries. All that's neat. You get some new deities. A couple of them stood out for me. I liked Balumdar, the god of size and strength. It has the Great Club as a favored weapon, so it's another D12 favored weapon, which is great. Plus this one also has Enlarged Person as a second level spell. So move over, Gorum. Balumdar is here. There's also Lubaiko, the Spark in the Dust, which is the first deity with the long spear as a favored weapon. Now, a long spear in the hands of a cleric could be a D10 weapon with reach, which isn't bad for a simple weapon. So I'm glad we finally have that one, because I like the long spear. But the best thing you get with this book, it's just adventure. Every page has legends, monuments, ruins, and the end result is the adventures just write themselves right out of this book. Every page just inspires some new adventure hook. You could easily turn Mwangi into a giant sandbox adventure. There's stuff to do everywhere. And that is it. I've been your host, Crunch McDabbles. This has been the Crunch McDabbles Show. Survive Galarian by going to the deadliest jungle there is, the Mwangi Expanse. That doesn't make any sense. And you could make a background that this map came from a free crap. You could make a background where this map came from a free captain on the journey, right? Just 2 boat trips and you're in Nantambu. Did I say that right? There it is. Horrible. City does give one important. They're pretty. Nantambu. So 2 boat trips, and you could have pretty easy access to Nantambu. That's wonderful. It's just pure chaos and murder, and constantly, that's all it says, period. That can't be right.